early stages of this, though, Winter, and you yourself have had these implants. How did it all start?
It started from quite a few years ago. I was in a quite bad car accident. It ended up fracturing my spine in 3 places, breaking up both of my knees and both my ankles. So I was in a quite long physical recovery. I've still got my stick with me, but I'm no longer wheelchair bound.
Okay.
And out of all of these recoveries, obviously, you're going to be poked and prodded and have medical things happen and have implants and things like that that are medical. So that kind of developed from there where, for instance, one of my kneecaps is 3D printed, medically 3D printed through partially the NHS and then Austria's medical system. So with that, that's an implant. And then I have the contraceptive implant, which nobody blinks an eye at, even though those have been around for, what, 10 years? This is just proactive versus reactive. So instead of waiting until something negative happens to me and then fixing it medically, I can now get rid of some of the worries that I would have, like, have I left the stove on? Have I forgotten my keys? That type of thing. Now I can't forget my keys. They're in my hand.
So I suppose you've had to kind of emotionally adjust to the idea of foreign things being put into your body that make your life work. So I guess for you, it doesn't seem like so much of a leap.
There's pretty much no leap, because I've had so much medical things happen to me. If you're having these things happen to you anyway, why not get the ones that are fun? You know, it doesn't really make... There's no real line there.
So there's a practical side to this, but there's also a fun side to it as well. You're
Very
enjoying
much so.
that side. So let's talk about the implants that you've had. Talk us through some of the things.
What have you had done?
Well, I've got 7.
Okay.
Some of them are voluntary, and then some of them are kind of cybernetic, as we call it, more than anything else. So I have in my left hand, between the finger webbing here, an RFID chip, which is essentially the exact same thing as your badge that you used to get into the office or a key fob. I use that as my front door and my office key. In my right hand between the webbing here, I have an NFC chip, which I can put data on that has my business card, or if I'm traveling abroad, I put my medical information on it. With all of the medical things that I've had, I've got a medical ID bracelet, and clearly it won't all fit on that little piece of metal.
So can we demonstrate?
How would someone access that? That anybody could have at a computer and just access that?
No,
How does it work?
It's a little bit different than that. So how these work with RFID and NFC is the radio frequency waves. RFID stands for radio frequency identification, and NFC is near field communication. So they're very, very tight-knit radio waves. So you need some type of reader. These just have the passive data on them. There's no batteries in them or anything. And when you have a reader, which can be a cell phone or the thing that you tap your card key to get into the office, anything like that, that sends out a signal that says, I'm looking for a chip. And when I tap it, it then pops up the information I've put on it.
So can you demonstrate
show a little bit of
what you've
that?
got with your phone there?
Can't really show you my front door one, but I can show you the NFC. So because I've got an iPhone, there's an app for it. So you can see in here, there's the app. If I hit scan and launch and then hold this up to my chip, you can kind of see the chip in my arm there.
Yeah.
And then
And
see,
it's
when I tap it just right, it pops up, and now it pops up to the Good Morning Britain website.
Which is what everybody wants.
Of course.
What everybody wants.
I keep it in all the time. I almost put on your Twitter, but I didn't want to freak you out on air. So I can change it very, very quickly and just put whatever information I want on. You know, back when Rickrolling was a thing, I used to do that all the time and just make it pop up with a YouTube video.
Nice.
You can pop up with a business card, or again, I tend to use it for medical things. So when I'm traveling around, I'm that little bit safer, because say, surfing off the coast of Spain, fall over, knock myself out, I'm now a Jane Doe in the hospital. Well, because of my medical ID bracelet, any hospital can see that I've got this medical implant. Any front door security, even here, you could scan that, and it'll pop up with a website that has my insurance, my emergency contact information, what medicine I'm on, all of that,
so
because it's a website in their local language.
So these are practical ones, but you've got some fun ones as well, haven't you?
I do.
What else have you got
Tell us about
implanted?
the magnet. I've got a little bit of metal here.
Yes, so the magnet is actually a practical one as well. So if you put that in your hand, you can see in my finger here.
There you go.
Right, we've got a shot of
See the
this.
magnet there.
Yeah, so you can see here,
Wow.
you can pick it up.
Now,
And if I hold this just right on the table, I can make it move without actually talking it and be my own little Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
So,
you're like a Jedi. It's amazing.
I wish. It's a great party trick, though.
Winter, why?
That one's actually practical.
Is it?
Yes, very much
Apart
so,
from the
especially with
good
what I
party
do.
trick.
That bit gets boring after a while, but it's very, very practical for what I do. I'm an engineer, so I work with a lot of electronics. Now, if you've ever seen Jurassic Park, the 2 kids from that movie couldn't tell if the fence was on, so they grabbed it and shocked themselves and flew back, right? I could stand a few feet away, hold my hand up, and be like, yeah, that's on. I can sense that now. I can now sense electromagnetic fields.
Do you need...
To a certain sense.
You need
I
that?
do, because I work so much with electronic chips that have live currents running through them. If you touch that, you'll die, like touching the 3rd rail on a railway.
Sure.
Instead, I get that knee-jerk reaction before I touch it, so I'm much safer at my work.
Okay.
Goodness me.
So that's one of the ones that is practical but fun as well, because you can surprise and delight your mates when you're trying to... You know when you can't pick up a coin, you can't pick up a paperclip or...
It is so useful if I drop an earring behind the couch or something. It's really great.
I'd be worried about sticking my hand down the back of my couch over the magnet. You never know what's going to come up.
Find a couple pound coins. You never know.
You've also got some lights you've had implanted into your hand. And this was more or less because you just like the idea of it?
This one's just because I'm a magpie. I like sparkly things.
Okay, so can we have a look at this?
So let's have a look.
I'm
in charge of the camera, which could be where the technology goes wrong.
Sure. So this is the dark mark from Harry Potter, and in the movie, it lights up.
It does.
So mine needs to light up.
Okay.
So if I hold the NFC reader, which is my phone, close to the eye, you can see it lights up under my skin.
Just see that little flashing light?
You see the little flashing light? We can see it here in the studio. I'm hoping you can
Yeah,
pick
we
it
can
up
just
at home.
kind of see it. It's not the strongest in the world, is it?
No.
No, it depends. Again, the darker it is, the more it shines, the more you can see it. But it's just reactive. What that LED is it's used normally in cards so you can say, is the reader working, as a tester. And then all the people with the chips said, yeah, but that's pretty. Can we have one of those? And they put it as an implantable, so it just makes it flash.
What's the future of this, Winter? You know, people will be sitting at home going, but you're having foreign objects put into your body. What happens if they get infected or viruses or the body rejects them?
Well, the good thing with these is it's medically safe glass and there's no magnets or anything like that in it. So your body doesn't reject glass, ever. Your body's more likely to, my body was more likely to reject my medical implant than it is to this. Just like with the contraceptive implant. Your body doesn't reject that. Now, because that gives off hormones, that can react poorly with you, but these don't have hormones. Your body doesn't reject it, it just encapsulates in the skin. If you want to get them out, you can get them out just like you can get any piercing out or anything like that. But it's the same type of thing where right now you can go online or go to Claire's and get someone without a medical degree or anything to pierce your child's ears. And you can buy that piercing gun online, can't you? This is the same thing. You can buy the chips yourself if you want to. I went to a professional and got them put in myself.
You can self-administer. That would be not
well,
something
you can
we'd
also, definitely not, but you can also buy a piercing gun or a tattoo gun online as well.
Are there any downsides? You know, like if technology doesn't work, we all know what it's like when you go to use a computer and it freezes, it's not working. Have you had a case when you tried to get in your door and it's not working?
Luckily, no. This is a lot less techie than that. These are using radio frequencies. This technology has been around since the 40s. This is from World War I. This is essentially radar, but at a much finer scale.
So if we start putting our financial details in our fingers and all that sort of stuff?
That we can't do yet. So this is just, it has the set data on it. You can read it, you can't write it. This one you can read and write to a certain amount, but there's nothing to hack, really.
Yeah.
It's... that would be a whole computer to combat down. With the chips we have, that's not something that's possible. You can't really hack a radio frequency.
So what's next? What's the thing that you think, if only that was possible, I'd get that done tomorrow because it'd be so helpful?
So much. No, but the number one most useful thing that everybody immediately assumes is, oh, so it's like Apple Pay. It's like Google Pay. I wish it was, because that's one less thing I need to carry around. Sure. We don't actually have bank chips yet. The technology is there. They've been developed, but there needs to be banks on board to pair with these chips that want to do this as the next thing. And right now, we're trying to convince them, we have Apple Watches that can do it and things like this. But while the chips exist and the technology is there, a bank has to be willing to put that information on. So I think that is the next step.
It is fascinating.
Wow.
It's been lovely to meet you, and I still think that I'd never get bored of the magnet trick. I just really would. That would keep me amused for hours and hours and hours.
Wouldn't you?
Keeps me pretty amused too.
Right then, thank you very much, Winter.